Welcome to Deep Kaur's Masters of Education e-portfolio. This site has been designed to illustrate the growth that I have made as both a student and as an educator during my experience in University of British Columbia's MET program. The primary goal of this e-portfolio is to showcase my cumulative learning and growth during MET program to TQS and MET faculty to satisfy their requirements. The secondary but essential purpose is to record and reflect upon each course and come up with a holistic understanding of my learning so far, which will be helpful in applying this knowledge to my classroom. This portfolio will mainly demonstrate my mastery in the area of pedagogy of technology in the classroom, connecting theory to practice and how people learn. In future, I'm hoping that this e-portfolio may also serve as a platform to demonstrate my continued professional growth that I can share with my colleagues and students. When I started my MET journey, I didn't know that I need to save my artifacts for ETC 590. However, being a very reflective person, after the first semester I felt the need to keep the valuable information that I learned during the first 3 courses. I created a Google Drive and saved all the blog posts, assignments and important links. Towards the half of the program, I put together a portfolio website to showcase my learning during first 6 courses of my MET program as I was looking for employment in BC public schools, and then continue to add artifacts to my website. However, after reading ETC 590 guidelines, I realized that what I had created was simply just a record of my artifacts. But holistic learning needs constant reflection. Even though, to further my previous knowledge, I selected all the assignments after reflecting on my previous assignments, leading to a goal in my mind for each assignment, I did not document my reflections. Thus, my first step towards the creation of this culminating project was to start writing reflections for each artifact and make cross-artifact and cross-course connections to see the big picture of my understanding. Reflecting on all the MET artifacts that I created a long time ago was a little challenging and time-consuming process, but I am grateful to have easy access to all the artifacts in my Google Drive folder. When I began my e-portfolio, I considered many metaphors such as arranging my assignments according to Campbell's Hero's Quest, Key-Pack framework, formation cycle, taking a manual car for a road trip, to name a few. However, most of the metaphors were restricting me from expressing my learning to the fullest. Thus, instead of choosing complex metaphors, I selected formation cycle as an instructional design for my website and taking a manual car for road trip as my overarching metaphor to express my psychological states for learning during the program. Both formation cycle and the road trip demonstrate achieving the mastery of skills and overcoming the hurdles along the way. Thus, it was easy to correlate them and use them together. Moreover, they say to put yourself in their shoes, we need to unleash ours. Thus, educators must first experience their teaching frameworks before they can correctly teach students using their frameworks. And that's precisely why I used format cycle instructional design for my web design. Before you dive further into my portfolio, I would like to explain the design of my website. In the main menu, all items are non-clickable with the drop-down clickable pages. The home page is a landing page of my portfolio website. After the home page, users will see information about me on About the Author page in the first drop-down menu. Next non-clickable page is About page, where audience will see 6 pages in a drop-down menu: guided tour, my metaphor, instructional guide, an assessment rubric, e-portfolio feedback, and references. The guided tour page will have my navigational video and video script. My metaphor page explains the connection of my metaphor and MET journey, which is expanded further on each course landing page. Instructional guide contains the information about purpose, audience, format cycle, and my metaphor. Assessment rubric has a rubric to assess my e-portfolio. E-portfolio feedback page has a survey to facilitate the peer feedback process, and the references page contains the references for the videos, pictures, and information that I accessed from scholarly resources. Formation cycle applies to the rest of the main menu tabs, which are YMET, Major Skill Set, Application, and Celebration. The first quadrant of formation cycle requires the learner to explain the connection between student's life and the learning experience along with motivation behind the learning experience. Thus, YMET page describes why I chose MET program for my professional growth and what I expected to learn from this program. At the same time, my metaphor taking a manual car on the road trip communicates the excitement, which is metaphorically equivalent to shifting the car into first gear and getting ready for the road trip. As I started to reflect on my courses under major skill sets and application tabs, I felt the need to have more space to reflect on each artifact. To avoid scroll death and make my website user-friendly, I created a landing page dedicated to each course from which users can dive deeper by clicking at the various artifacts to see artifact reflections on separate pages. To visit the artifact pages, users can either use the top menu bar or buttons are leading to the artifacts at the bottom of each course page. I will provide more information about navigation later in this video. The second quadrant of formation cycle is the place where learners link their personal subjective experience with the objective analytic word of the content at hand. The goals that are emphasized in this quadrant are reflecting, seeing relationships, developing idea coherence, conceptualizing, defining, patterning, classifying, comparing, contrasting, being objective, discriminating, planning, the key competencies or the primary skill set that I acquired during first 6 courses. My first 6 courses were ETEC 500, ETEC 510, ETEC 512, ETEC 520, ETEC 565A, and ETEC 565F. And the skills that I mastered during these courses were conducting educational research, understanding major learning theories, formation instructional design, learning management systems, e-learning policies, and knowledge about current edtech tools. In first gear, we will be able to accelerate, but it will only take us so far. Eventually, we will have to switch to second gear, thus shifting to second gear is equivalent to taking action to learn the above skill set. In the third quadrant of formation cycle, learners add something of themselves, mess around and make the material theirs. The success lies in the integration of the material and the self, the personal synthesis, as well as in the opportunity for learners to approach the content in their own most comfortable way. Application page of my portfolio lies in the third quadrant of formation cycle. Thus, after 6 MET courses, I carefully reviewed all the assignments that I did in the past and attempted to apply all the skills that I acquired during the rest of the 4 courses. My last 4 courses were ETEC 511, ETEC 530, ETEC 533, and ETEC 590. During these courses, I personalized my learning so that I can use it for my students. Critical analysis of 21st century learning, bring your own device tutorial, grand unified learning theory, teaching philosophy are some major artifacts that I created during my last 4 courses. Metaphorically speaking, this experience was equivalent to shifting to even higher gears to gain more acceleration and hence speed. As we shift to the higher gears, it becomes easy to maintain speed, but it is hard to accelerate. Similarly, higher the skill level, the more work it takes to reach the next level. However, we become more efficient in what we do. It was true for this phase of MET program. Along with meeting the expectations of my instructors and colleagues, it took so much effort to meet my own expectations and fulfill my personal goals. The fourth quadrant is the last step of the format cycle. The learners share what they have learned and set up with each other and perhaps with the wider community as a whole. The fourth quadrant is also the place where students are asked to stand and speak in their voices as they share in their own best way what it is they have learned from the cycle they experienced. Quadrant 4 emphasizes on creating, identifying constraints, revising, creating models, coming to closure, editing, summarizing, verifying, synthesizing, representing, reflecting, refocusing, and evaluating. Thus, MET portfolio, which is ETEC 590, lies in this quadrant as well. As this step of formation cycle is also about celebrating the learning, Aha Moments page is the first page under Celebration tab. This page comprises a few projects that I'm very proud of. I created Theory to Practice page under Celebrations tab to share my thoughts on how I'm going to use my learning with my students. I dedicated last 2 pages under Celebration tab to my transformed teaching philosophy and edtech policy. If someone can connect to the dopamine rush that one gets from winning a car race or enjoying a road trip with the family, one can understand how I feel right now nearly ending this program, which is seemingly permanent happy state and fuel to deliver what I learned so far. As all the assignments are connected or weaved together across courses, I could not select a particular number of artifacts for each course. Therefore, the selection process includes choosing the number of artifacts for each course based on the quality of the artifact and how they connect to each other. and how they added to my holistic understanding during my MET journey, leading to a transformed teaching philosophy. Rereading my reflections during the proofreading process is further leading me towards new understandings. I feel that I'm looking at the past with a new transformed lens. However, instead of removing any imperfect assignment, I'm aiming to use it as a reflective piece that adds even more to my knowledge base. Regarding navigation, I tried my best to keep it simple. However, as I described before, to avoid scroll death, I had to dedicate one page to each course, which is course landing page, and further one page to each artifact. Thus, there are three levels: top menu bar, which is categorization of courses based on formation, drop down menu, which is for individual courses, and sub menu, which is for artifacts. Each course page has different sections: a section dedicated to explaining my metaphor, course name, course objectives, my goals, course reflections, classroom connections, and a section containing navigational buttons with a minimal variation when necessary. For example, sometimes there is one more section to add YouTube videos or pictures to the page. Pages dedicated to artifacts have only 3 to 4 sections: artifact name, artifact description including reflection, and a section containing navigational buttons. Each section on a page has a separate heading and a different color to promote easy scanning. Font type, size, style, and the color are appropriately used for headings, subheadings, and paragraph text to support easy scanning. I consistently used horizontal and vertical space alignment to improve the aesthetics. I tried many color combinations before finalizing the background color for sections on each page to improve the readability. The last section of each page contains different types of navigational buttons. Blue buttons are used on all pages under the Major Skill Set tab to match the color of the second quadrant of the formation cycle. All pages under Application tab have green buttons for the same purpose, and so on. There are about 50 pages in this portfolio. On these pages, I have tried to reflect upon each learning artifact that contributed to my understanding, write about key learning points, and acknowledge people who contribute to my knowledge. I try to remain unbiased towards all learning theories and developed a grand unified learning framework which is going to be my teaching guide after this program. GUILT is a personalized instructional framework that has effective components of all learning theories for a math and science classroom. For each step of this framework, on the Theory to Practice page, I have made a sandbox of educational tools. I'm glad that I decided to pursue MET program before even starting my career as a full-time public school teacher. B.Ed and MET programs together have made me the teacher who I always wanted to be. I already notice a shift from traditional teaching to providing more situational learning. In the coming years, I believe everyone in the MET cohort and I will prove to be a group of exemplary teachers and mentors of the education community, especially when we are implementing the new curriculum in all schools in British Columbia. Getting a Teacher Appreciation Award for helping my colleagues and administration understand the basics and complexities of the new curriculum during 2015-16 school year was only a beginning for me. Even though I'm satisfied with my MET journey, but my journey is far from being over. The questions that are arising during the creation of this reflective portfolio and the issues that are going to occur in future will keep me motivated to continue my learning journey forever. This curiosity may motivate me to write academic papers, attend professional development workshops, design workshops for teacher community, or even join the PhD program after having a few years of teaching experience. Let's see how the future unfolds. Thank you for watching this video and exploring my e-portfolio. I look forward to learning from and with education community in the coming years. Thank you.